Hi everybody, my name is Chris and welcome to my channel. I have some thrifted items that I thought would be perfect to turn into some gorgeous Christmas decor, and I hope you guys think so too. So let's begin. DIY number one. I've got this little red tin. I just thought it screamed Christmas, and I'm going to start by cleaning the top off with some rubbing alcohol, trying to eliminate some of that sheen. Now, I would have preferred to have just glued my pieces to the top before painting, but because it's black and I'm going for white, snowy appearance on that lid, I just didn't think that would work. So I'm going to take some white chalk paint, and in a pouncing motion, I'm just going to paint the top of the can. And then after that dries, I am going to go over it with some Mod Podge. Okay, once that is dried, I'm going to take some super glue, figure out where I want the setting. I just think something like that is pretty. And we're going to let this dry. It might take just a few. All right, so once those have had a chance to dry, and I think that super glue is going to work very well. I'm going to take some Snow Tech. I picked mine up at Hobby Lobby. I'm sure they carry it on Amazon as well. And then I'm just going to use this little spatula tool. I picked it from the Dollar Tree, and I am going to, in a pouncing motion, apply that Snow Tech all over where the white is showing from my white paint. The pieces that I glued on top, I did also get that stuff from the Dollar Tree. The little snowman is actually a snowman out of the cobblestone collections that they always tend to put out. But I am going to wipe off any of that Snow Tech that I got around the rim or the side of that lid and just touch it up. Okay, I've got this vintage ephemera that I printed off of Creative Fabrica. And then I've got this little blank wood tag, and I'm just going to use it to just trace the section that I want. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cut that out. And then I've just got a little tag here, and I'm just going to punch a hole in it. Just like so. Okay, so I've just got some gold and white baker's twine, and I'm going to wrap that around the bottom part of the lid about 3 or 4 times, and then I'm just going to tie it in a knot as tight as I can get it. And I am not going to use any glue, but you are more than welcome to. I just want whoever buys this from me to be able to remove it if they decide to, but still be able to use the lid. So I don't use the glue, but again, you can. And then I'm just going to take that tag and I'm going to thread it through that baker's twine, and then I'm just going to tie a knot in it and it'll be finished. And I think it turned out really nice. You guys will have to let me know what you think about project number one. DIY number two. I got this little vintage spice bottle, and I thought it was perfect for Christmas because it has what looks like snowflakes on it. So I'm just going to make something with that. Little mini bottle brush tree and some faux snow. Okay, so this one was a little hard to edit because I was all over the place with it. I tried to put a larger one of my little bottle brushes in there, and it wouldn't fit right. So I had glued that down with some hot glue. And so my little wood piece from that tree is stuck down there, which was a good thing. It was a blessing in disguise, if you will. And I'm just going to take the smallest tree in the box, and I will make sure to list this box of bottle brush trees that I picked up from Amazon in the description box down below. But I go ahead and I'm going to use some tweezers, and I'm going to hot glue that smaller bottle brush tree to that wood piece. And then I'm just going to take some of this fake snow that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I am just going to put that in there. And because that bottle brush tree is taking up so much of the space, I just use those tweezers just to kind of fan around the branches of the tree, getting that snow to go down. And it works out. It's just a little bit time consuming, but just put as much of that snow that you want in there. And I ended up filling it up a little bit more than what you see here. Pop the top back on. Okay, so I want to tie some bells around it. And I got some bells from Amazon. I'm just going to go ahead and use the jute string that they included in there. Why not? So once I figured out how long of a piece of string that I'm going to need, or twine that I'm going to need, I am just going to tie each bell on the end of that string. Why do I keep calling it string, guys? I don't know. It's stringy. But I'm just going to tie each bell on the end of that twine. Then I'm just going to trim off the excess. Then I'm just going to wrap that around the neck of the bottle. And I'm going to get out of frame here, but you guys can figure out how to wrap that jute twine around that bottle. And you're just going to have both bells hanging down in the front. And then I am just going to tie it off. And it was a little bit of a struggle because of the bells. So I'm sure if you wanted to wrap that twine around first and then attach the bells, would probably be a little bit easier. But I do, and I don't know the reason behind it. I add some hot glue to where there should have been a knot instead of just one tie. But I don't know if that's going to serve any purpose, but it felt like a good thing to do at the time. So you do you. But I did go ahead and just take a lighter and burn off some of those little fuzzies off of that jute twine. And then this project is complete. DIY number 3. Okay, so I've got 3 of these mini Bundt pans, and I had picked these up on Whatnot. And if you guys haven't tried Whatnot out, I mean, it's worth checking into. I am a buyer and a seller on there, and sometimes you can find great prices on used items that you would normally find in a thrift store. So just a little bit of information. But I don't know if you saw my video where I had turned one of these into a pumpkin. If you haven't, I will be sure to link that in the description box, and I'll put it up here on the screen. But I saw bells when I was making that, so I saved 3 of these, and that's what we're going to make right now. And the first thing I want to do is in the center, I am going to drill a hole, and I'm just going to use a little wood block to protect my surface. As you can see, if you don't protect your surface, you're going to ding it up. But I'm just going to put a hole right in the center. Easy peasy. It's so soft, and I do that up and down motion just to get some of the splintering on the top diminished. Okay, and then I've just got some beads, and these beads came off of a strand of beads that I had picked up out of the Dollar Tree, and I want to go ahead and paint them red. I'm using the color Marquee from DIY Paint, and you can use any color red you want, but I'm using this color just because I thought it was the closest red I had to the shade of the bells that I'm going to be using as well. But I'm just going to paint 3 of those beads in that color red. Now, since this paint is a clay-based paint, I am going to go ahead and apply a clear wax to them. And I'm just using the DIY clear wax. You can use any clear wax you like. And then I just wipe off any excess wax. And then I'm just going to take some jute twine, and you can use ribbon, you can use anything, but these are going to be hanging off of each of the 10 cups or 10 Bundt pans. And I'm also going to grab 3 of those red bells I was telling you about. And I just picked these up at the Dollar Tree. They're such a great price. I believe there's like 20 bells in a pack. So excellent, excellent price. But I'm going to cut 3 long strands of the jute string. And we're just going to tie a bell on each strand of that jute twine. And to make the next process easier, I'm just going to take some painter's tape and tape up the ends just to make it easier to thread. All right, so you want to figure out about how long you're going to want your bells because you're going to need to tie a knot in there. I'm just going to go ahead and trim off the excess where we tied the knot for the bell. I'm going to just take this and thread it through the hole. Just be careful, it might be sharp. I just want to see how long I want to make this. I want you to be able to see it. Okay, I'm going to put my finger on the top to hold its spot. That way I can put my finger right where it was at the top. Right there. And then I'm just simply going to tie the knot. On the next 2 bells, I do end up using a Sharpie and mark the spot instead of relying on remembering where my finger indented that twine because that was really hard to see. Then I'm going to take a little bit of hot glue and just put right up in here. And that way my knot, hopefully, has a snug place. All right, my next step is I'm going to take one of these that we painted. And that baby's going to go right there. And then you want to go ahead and put another knot. Just like so. And you're going to go ahead and do that to the other 2. All right, and the next thing you want to do is gather all 3 and figure out how you want your height. So I'm going to do another one just a little shorter, and the other one, I think I'm going to tie mine. So what you'll do is you'll just knot it in place. All 3 strands. Okay, just like so. Hope you can see that. All right, and once you've got those, however high you want them hanging, I want mine kind of high. We're gonna need to make a little hanger for it. And to do that, I'm going to take just the 2 on the outside and just knot it. And that's going to give us a little loop at the top for a hanger. Make sure it's tight. Trim off the excess. And then we can trim off that one extra, which is right here. Just trim that down. And now you've got a little hanger. Now I want to just embellish a little bit at the top. I've got these little bows, and I picked these up at Hobby Lobby. I like red and black plaid buffalo check gingham for Christmas. That is, I like it because it's got that rustic vibe. And I like that rustic feel. I'll tie this around using the wire it came with. And I always like to try to find a way to loop it around there twice. So I'll twist it, and then I'm going to take that excess that didn't twist and retwist, wrap it around that rope and retwist it at the bottom. Trim off that excess. Gonna push it in a little just to get the sharp edges away. And then you've got just a little bow. which would have been better at the top of that knot so it doesn't slide down, but that's okay. We can put a little bit of hot glue there. Try to keep that in place. And then that's done. You'll see it better in the finale. DIY number 4. Okay, so I've got this vintage cheese grater that I picked up also on Whatnot. And then I've got this beautiful red and white striped ribbon. And I believe I got this from Joann's. But I am just trying to figure out how I want this to lay. And I am just going to take the ribbon. I'm going to have one end out long enough so I can have a little bit of a tail hanging down. And I just want one tail hanging down. So I'm just going to manipulate that ribbon until I get what I'm looking for. And then I am going to use a little bit of hot glue just to glue that in place so it stays down. And then I'm just going to pull that one end of the ribbon around back, fold it in just so it looks neat, and use some hot glue to secure it. And I'm only putting hot glue on the ribbon and not the cheese grater, and that's because I am selling this and I don't want to ruin the vintage piece in case whoever buys it wants to change it up for the seasons. And then I'm just going to dovetail the end of that ribbon. And sorry about some of the noise going on while I'm doing this voiceover, but Hetty decides she wants to play and she's down on the floor playing with a ball. And next I'm just going to take this pick that I had grabbed from Walmart in their Christmas section, and oh, it's just so pretty. But I'm just going to trim off the stems. I thought I was going to be using 2 of them, but I did only end up using the one here on the top. And I am just going to see how that fits in the top of the ribbon, and it looks pretty. Next, I'm just going to take some jute twine, and I am going to wrap it around the center of that ribbon. And I'm going to go ahead and tie it off in the front as tight as I can get it. And then I'm just going to trim off some of that excess twine. I always cut off way too much. I'm always afraid it's going to be too short. I can't help it. But I'm going to go ahead and on each strand, I'm going to go ahead and thread one of those bells onto it. And then once I figure out where I want them hanging down, I'm going to go ahead and tie a knot just to keep them secure. And then I'm just going to go ahead and repeat that same process for the other bell, stranding it and making sure how low down I want it to hang and securing it with a knot. And then once I've got both bells secured in place, I am just going to bring that jute string around the back and tie a knot back there just as tight as I can get it. And then I'll just trim off any excess jute string. And then I just felt like it needed a little bit more red, so I've got these little berries that I picked up from Hobby Lobby, and I'm just going to pull a stem off and then tuck that down in front of the greenery inside the ribbon pocket that we made. And then this project will be complete. You guys will have to let me know which of these projects was your favorite. And stay tuned at the end. I just have a little bit of a blooper, which I like to do. And thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Cami, no. Quit, cat. Probably should have cut a longer piece off.